Welcome to Tiny Texas Living. Who says you can't live big while living tiny?
In the van today, about to go into my tiny base camp and get some things done. I have some unfortunate news. Texas is deciding to do the thing that Texas does during winter where it doesn't know how to react to things around us. So this morning it's already rained, it's already been sunny, it's already been windy, and now it is cloudy again with the possibility of some pretty gnarly drizzle, which that doesn't sound so bad. But the next few days, that's what sounds bad. It's not great living in Texas where the uncertainty of the power grid exists. And the last time that we had a horrible storm, we were very fortunate that we still maintained power, but in the meantime, it overworked every single part of our tiny journey and basically blew the heater after it froze for days upon days upon days. And so we're trying to mitigate things happening today. So I am in the process currently of preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. Now, a couple days ago, my dad already started on some different projects around the property. We have a combined family property, and so the first thing that he did was make sure that all of the faucets and hydrants were all covered. And so I'm gonna have to kind of do my part now. And this is the part where I charge up every single power station that I have. Of course, I test out a lot of projects over on my travel channel, so I have quite a few that I test out over the time, and I do this so that we will have preparedness, but also so that everyone in my family can be safe if we lose power. So I got to get all of those charged up while we do have power for sure, and also I have to figure out a heater in the auxiliary building, and that's not going to be that hard. That's going to be the easiest of the tasks. But there's a few other things that I need to do, like making sure that I open up all the cabinets so the plumbing can be exposed, so that the heaters in each one of the buildings can make sure that the plumbing does not freeze. And, well, today's gonna be busy. Starting off, I need to find all the cords from the power stations that I keep in my van regularly and bring them inside and get those power stations starting to charge. I think I have them all in one place. My van is in disarray right now because I'm repacking it for the road, but this is a big deal, so this needs to happen. Starting off by taking in the smallest one, and then I have two big ones also. The cats are getting used to their little house, which I'm going to do a full video on at some point. We decided we would go ahead and take care of the cats by giving them a house. And it's not in the best of shape, but I'm going to be doing some projects to make it look a lot better. But in the meantime, the kitties look like they're figuring out that it's going to be cold, so they're staying in there nice and cozy. I probably need to put some more hay in there for them, though, because it is going to be cold. So I'll be doing that also, I guess. That means they're gonna have to get out. They're not gonna be happy about that. Boxes like these are what my dad went ahead and built. These are insulated on the inside with thick foam, and in some cases also some other kinds of insulation, but this will keep the outdoor pipes from freezing. The sky is looking very wintry today. Very, very menacing. It's only a matter of time before it just starts downpouring again. Okay, that's finished. Okay, so while the weather is being really, really gnarly looking, I'm gonna go ahead and go over to this auxiliary building and clean it out just a little bit. I'm still in the process of getting everything organized. I'm currently giving all of the heaters a little bit of a rest. I turned off every heater that we have just so that it can stop and then not go for just a few minutes. And then after that, I'll be able to turn them back on, but this way they're not overworked, considering that the weather is going to potentially get down to 9 degrees here. I really don't want to lose another heater this year. It's been a lot. We so far have lost 2 heaters because of either electrical failure and on-off electricity, or because they've been overworked. And this time of year, it gets harder and harder to find things to fix those things. So really hoping that by just giving them a little bit of a rest before this super, super problematic time, this will help out a lot. Okay. Into the Christmas cabin, and it is definitely starting to get more windy, and I can feel it, and oh my goodness, I don't like it at all. So I'm currently giving this heater a rest. I'm going to turn it back on in just a little bit. It feels nice in here right now. It feels really nice. Like I could easily come in here and just kick back and not feel cold at this moment. But in a little while, I need to make sure that I come into the bathroom area and do a couple of things. First and foremost, I will open up the cabinet because the pipes run through the back of this, and that allows them to stay warm so that they do not freeze up. I also need to do the same with this cabinet. So before I go to bed tonight, I will open up both of these. I will also end up turning back on the heater at that time. But for now, again, I'm letting them have a little bit of a break so that it doesn't have to work quite so hard. And worst comes to worst, if it gets really bad, I'll just bring the heater into the bathroom, and it is on wheels, so I can do that, and I'll just sit it in here and then close off the rest of the cabin so that it can trap the heat in this tiny room. That way we don't have any problems. Last year we ended up with the water not working, and we thought at first it was frozen, but in fact, because we have a well, we can't just leave the water dripping like you do on like city water or something, because it'll actually make the well overwork. And so it ended up freezing up the well because it had to work too much, because I didn't know that. So now I know that I can't leave the water dripping, and instead I just have to protect the pipes the best way I can by turning on heat. So, okay, I have my tasks figured out at least. The heater is fixed in the other room and it was really cold in there, so I went ahead and turned it on. It has plenty of space so that it can keep the water softener warm, which is the biggest thing in there. This room still brings me so much joy. I don't have all the extra lights or anything on right now, but just coming in here makes me happy. I am gonna leave this as the Christmas cabin though. I did decide that. Anyway, I'm gonna make my rounds to check everything outside, and then I'm gonna check in with that heater over there to make sure everything's working well, because it hasn't been used since last winter. And in the meantime, I'm gonna plug in power stations and get them started. Hi there, why aren't you in the house? I'm sorry. I did go ahead and get some straw for you guys. Yeah? You should go into the house, it's warmer there. These guys all got the memo. They understand the assignment. Okay, these 3 power stations are all going to be plugged in the hall, and that will make it a little bit better. I also have 2 12-volt electric blankets that I can use if I need to, or that I can take down one of them to my family and they can use them on a power station, and then that way we have enough warmth just in case. Now, one of the advantages to my parents' house is they have gas for heat. I have to use electric, so it's a little bit different. But I know that my dad said that he had already gotten the tank of propane filled up, so he's good to go down there, at least on that. But there's always the what ifs, and so I try to make sure that I'm prepared for the what ifs. I have preparedness food in the way of the Mountain House meals, and then anything that I have in here, if the power were to go out, I could actually put in my tiny little refrigerator or into the refrigerator in my parents' van, and we can run them off 12 volts. So that's positive. That is the nice thing about doing van life and tiny living, is a lot of things overlap in way of preparedness. So that's good. But there's other things that also are kind of handy. For example, if I lose power, I can't cook here because it's electrical. Everything that I have to cook with is electric. But in my van, I have electric items, and then I also have like an actual cooktop that runs off of butane. So I have 2 options still for cooking, even if we lose power. And that is just so handy. And I know most people who live in a tiny home don't think about those things unless they're off grid. And for the most part, those people are preparing for everything when they're off grid. But what I'm preparing for is things that could be sustainable on the road. And so it translates into my tiny home by saying, oh yeah, I have this, I could do this. For example, if I need to cook my food and I have no power, but I have a power station, I can use a Road Pro. I have a Road Pro stove. I also have a Road Pro crock pot. Additionally, I have some other things, again, like my butane stove that I can use with extra butane. I always keep extra just in case of not being able to find it. But in a case of a disaster, that means that if I wasn't able to go to the store and buy more, I have it. So I could cook regular food, which would mean that anything that would come out of my fridge right here that might spoil or be bad, that I want to put in my fridge, I could still use that. So that's kind of handy also. But there's other stuff also that the power stations come in handy for. I can always recharge them even with the slightest bit of sun, so as long as we get just the tiniest bit, even if it snows and covers in a blizzard, I can still have power. Also, I can use my crank radio that I have if I need to be able to hear what's going on in the world around me. And through that crank radio, I can then charge my phone if all my power stations died. So I always have redundancies built in when I'm on the road, but that translates right here into my tiny home also. So with that said, it's time for me to start working on those by getting them all plugged in. And by doing that, I'm preparing not only for my tiny home, but also for my parents, just in case. And worst case scenario, if for some random reason I don't need the power stations, guess what? They're already charged up for my next adventure. Okay, I have 2 power stations charging here, and the Jackery is the longest power station that I've had. It's 1,000 watts. This one is one that I've had for quite a while as well. It's more of a rapid charge, so this one should be charged up pretty quickly. Here I have the Pecron and also the Vatid that's charging, and after they're finished, I'll go ahead and charge this big guy down here, which is the All Power. And now I need to go through and find the cords for the others. Oh my goodness. This is the part that's kind of crazy. I keep everything in like one place, but I've tossed that place like 15 times as I've packed things and unpacked things, which is why I've time and time again said I need to go through and organize my closet, because that's where most of the cords are held. But at the same time, it's just so hard sometimes just to keep everything in order whenever you're going between a home on the road and a home that's stationary, and then the home on the road has to change rapidly, and so everything just kind of gets tossed. And so I really need to figure out more organization. I really do. And I know I've been working on some projects, but I think I'm gonna have to just like totally reimagine those projects a little bit more. So my list is long, my burdens are heavy, but I will get this done. But this is not about the fun. This is not about the, ooh, decorate, ooh, have fun. This is about the, I need to be very serious right now, because this is something very serious. So those are gonna take a little bit to charge. Got some dust on myself, kind of digging through stuff. Yeah, this is today. So inside here, I keep all of my mountain houses. So I have plenty of those if it gets really bad over the next few days. I usually like to reserve these for taking them on the road, but I always have some here just in case, because you never know what you're going to encounter. Also, I have some food, so I should be fine. It's just gonna be a few days. And those are things I could make with or without electricity. Same thing here. I could use all this stuff. So I'm good to go with my dry goods. And let's see. I don't have as much stuff in here. I mostly have like sauces and things. But I do have some fruits and veggies that I can use down here, and then something up here. So I think I'm good to go with food. I don't think I need to go and run and go to the store or anything. Anytime that there is a winter storm, I go through a variety of things in my head. First and foremost, have I charged the power stations? I'm currently working on that. Second, do I have enough food and supplies for me personally, but also to help out my family if something hits the fan? And I think I'm good there when it comes to like the preparedness meals with the mountain house. So I feel confident there. I also already have extra straw for the cats so that they can have more things to burrow into, because face it, like, they're outside cats. I can't really do anything with them. So I want to make sure that they're protected and safe, and that makes me so nervous and so sad that we even have to go through this. And I know that it's going to be a rough few days for sure, but we've done everything we can. We've safeguarded them by the fence. We have the house on the porch so that it's also under an additional roof, so maybe they won't get wet. And if worse comes to worse, I guess I could figure out, I don't know what else to do for the cats. I'm trying everything. I'll probably have to take them out fresh water in little bowls, because it likely will freeze. I'm probably going to get a little bit more cat food just to make sure they're good to go over the next few days, especially if the weather gets bad and then we can't go anywhere. Again, you never know whenever they say that these are the possible temperatures here in Texas, if that means it's going to be like a dry time with those possibilities, or if you're going to get a wild card and get ice, because ice is the scarier thing. Here, it's not so much that we get tons of snow, because normally we don't, but the ice, it's not fun. So I think I'm good to go with those things. I also have other devices charged up that I need. I have a couple of small heaters that I can use with power stations should the power go out. By no means are they going to heat my entire house though. They're just not. They're small. But if worse comes to worse and we lose power, I could park a power station over and have some power to keep the pipes from going and popping, I guess. You never know. You never know what's going to come of these kinds of things. It could be perfectly fine. We could be just great, just kind of cold. Or it could be rolling brownouts all across the state where people try to go to their cars to get warm and then end up dying. Because that is literally what happened in Texas just a couple winters ago. And it was so sad. So I am proactive. I'm doing the things I can. I am going to be okay, and I am hoping that everything goes according to plan. I'm going to probably document this here if it gets bad. I'm hoping it doesn't, but if it does, I will let everybody see what worst case scenario looks like here in Texas. But for the time being, I'm just hearing the hum of power stations, crossing my fingers this gets the job done, and, well, let winter begin.